These are the stories making the headlines at this hour. More signs of economic recovery. South Korea's industrial output returned to an increase on a 13% jump in chip production. Consumption also increased by the most in 9 months, but investment once again dropped. With North Korea's key party meeting underway, leader Kim Jong-un has called for faster war preparations. He's also believed to have laid out policies to strengthen cooperation with anti-U.S. countries. Over in Gaza, as the war approaches the 3-month mark, civilians are grappling with the spread of disease amid a lack of medical facilities, combined with a food crisis. Good afternoon. We start with more signs of economic recovery. South Korea's industrial output returned to an increase on a 13% jump in chip production. Consumption also increased by the most in 9 months, but investment once again dropped. Park Gun-woo has the details.
South Korea's overall industrial production last month saw an increase thanks to a jump in manufacturing industry production. According to Statistics Korea on Thursday, total industrial production rose 0.5% on month, a contrast from the month before when it dropped by 1.8%. The growth was mainly attributed to greater output in manufacturing sectors, including semiconductors, which rose by over 3% on month, the highest increase since August. In detail, chip production, particularly DRAM and flash memory chips, saw a jump of 12.8%, recovering from negative figures in October. A Statistics Korea official said greater demand for AI chips, as well as the base effect, was behind the increase. Meanwhile, an official from the finance ministry also spoke in detail about how semiconductors contribute to recovery in the manufacturing industry.
Chip shipments also rose 30%, while inventories fell by 3.8%, meaning the overall chip industry is heading in the right direction of recovery.
He also said the situation is quite positive as inventory has been decreasing for the 3rd straight month, a situation not seen for 13 months. He also said the government is tentatively expecting some $10 billion in terms of chip exports in December, the highest for this year, and the first time in 15 months it would surpass the $10 billion mark. Retail sales, a key gauge of private spending, also soared by 1% in November compared to the month before, thanks to higher automobile sales figures. Statistics Korea said increased consumption during several discount events in November, including the 2023 Korea Sales Festa, contributed to jumps in spending. While sales saw its biggest increase in 9 months, investment decreased once again in November. But the finance ministry said they are expecting investment to rise in the near future, as it normally increases following export figure increases. Park Gun-woo, Arirang News.
Business sentiment for the manufacturing industry remains sluggish this month. According to the Bank of Korea on Thursday, the business survey index for manufacturers in December stayed at 70, the same as the previous month. The bank said this is due to the slowdown in some industries such as chemicals, despite a recovery for machinery and equipment. The index gauges overall market prospects with a reading below 100, meaning pessimists outnumber optimists. With North Korea's key party meeting underway, leader Kim Jong-un has called for faster war preparations. He's also believed to have laid out policies to strengthen cooperation with anti-U.S. countries. Choi Min-jung reports.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on Wednesday reportedly called for efforts to speed up war preparations on the 2nd-day session of the regime's year-end key plenary meeting. According to North Korea's state-run Korean Central News Agency, Kim set forth the militant tasks for the People's Army and the munitions industry, nuclear weapons, and civil defense sectors to further accelerate the war preparations. The KCNA also reported that the order comes amid the severe political and military situation on the Korean Peninsula, caused by unprecedented acts of confrontation from the U.S. and its followers. An expert says Kim's words reflect a very stressful environment.
But I think the fundamental value that Kim is trying to achieve is to maintain independence. Because when you're weak, whether it's militarily or economically, others will take advantage of you, and that will mean the end of the regime.
The North Korean leader also vowed to expand and develop strategic cooperation with the anti-imperialist independent countries. Pundits say this could mean that Pyongyang would further strengthen ties with countries such as Russia. Kim is also expected to issue a key message at the ongoing meeting, including a New Year's Day address. Experts believe he will likely deliver a hostile message aimed at South Korea and the U.S., as well as measures to ramp up military capabilities.
So we can presume that they will continue to develop missiles and to develop all sorts of other defense preparations. And it's very astutely done to be as cost-effective as possible, and particularly to project a larger image.
North Korea reportedly kicked off its year-end plenary meeting on Tuesday to review policies for this year and discuss more for next year. On the first day, Kim called 2023 a year of great turn and change and referred to progress on the path toward enhancing national power and promoting national prestige. The meeting usually lasts around 4 to 6 days and presents blueprints for defense, economy, and foreign policy sectors for the upcoming year. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
Over in Gaza, as the war approaches the 3-month mark, civilians are grappling with the spread of disease amid a lack of medical facilities combined with a food crisis. Lee Seung-jae has more.
With many Gazans left with minimal medical assistance due to the ongoing armed conflict in the war-torn region, the World Health Organization said Wednesday that diseases are rapidly increasing in the Gaza Strip as sanitary conditions have become extremely poor. The UN Health Agency says there have been more than 100,000 cases of diarrhea since mid-October, and half of the patients are children under the age of 5. Also, the number of sick people continues to increase rapidly. With many living in close quarters in crowded camps, the number of respiratory infection cases in Gaza has exceeded 150,000, increasing 7-fold in just 45 days. The WHO added that other illnesses such as meningitis, skin rash, and chickenpox have also been reported, and many residents appeared to have symptoms of jaundice and even hepatitis. According to the World Food Program, all 2.2 million residents of the Gaza Strip are in a state of acute food insecurity, adding that the region is currently in a Level 4 emergency crisis out of a 5-tier classification. Level 3 or higher is considered an acute food crisis. Combined with the food shortage, Palestinians are also facing drinking water shortages as facilities capable of supplying water are repeatedly damaged. According to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs on Wednesday, a water pipe passing east of Khan Yunis was seriously damaged by an Israeli airstrike on Monday, cutting off drinking water to the entire region. The damaged water pipe was one of 2 water pipes supplying drinking water from Israel to southern Gaza. UN organizations fear that the water shortage will exacerbate the dire health conditions of Gazans, especially children, who are particularly vulnerable. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The year 2023 saw a new war break out in the Middle East while war in Ukraine approaches the 2-year mark. While tens of thousands of civilians have been affected, the wars have also raised concerns here on the Korean Peninsula. Our Pyeong-ji reports.
On October 7th, the Hamas militant group launched an unprecedented surprise attack in Israel, which stunned the country and killed hundreds of people. This is a war that's happening thousands of miles away, but an expert says it could still pose a risk to South Korea, as much of Washington's focus is centered on the Middle East, rather than North Korean threats.
Already, the North Korean issue for the Biden administration and United States as a whole is not top priority at all. But because of this Israel-Hamas war, the North Korean issue is getting lower in the list of the foreign policy. So it makes some kind of negative effect to the Korean Peninsula.
He added that North Korea is also using this chance to be more critical of the U.S. for supporting Israel. In fact, it appears that the North is supporting Hamas. The Israeli military said about 10% of the weapons used by Hamas during its attack on Israel on October 7th were manufactured in North Korea. At the same time, the North has also been able to make strategic moves and strengthen military cooperation with Russia this year through the war in Ukraine. In September, the North's leader Kim Jong-un even held a summit with Russia's Vladimir Putin, highlighting their strong cooperation. This sparked concerns of further arms deals between them, as it's widely believed that North Korea has been able to gain what they want by providing munitions to Russia.
Russia and North Korea have been building close ties, especially through their rare summit this year. Russia was supported with weapons and North Korea has been able to gain military technology. This transaction is how the Ukraine war has greatly impacted the situation on the Korean Peninsula.
These security risks are especially concerning as they come at a time when the North has conducted 5 ICBM launches this year, the highest number in a single year. 배은지, Arirang News.
South Korea's National Election Commission has announced new plans to improve transparency in the upcoming general elections. These measures include counting ballots by hand. Our Lee Si-hoo explains more.
There will be manual ballot counting in next year's general election. This is part of the new set of plans announced by the National Election Commission on Wednesday to improve transparency and confidence in the election process. Currently, the ballot counting clerks use electronic ballot counting machines and check with their naked eye whether the machines are currently sorting the ballots. The process has led to suspicions of fraudulent ballot counts using machines and criticism that clerks are unable to properly check the machine's rapid counting. With the announced change, however, clerks will count the ballots with their hands in addition to the electronic counting. Although this will require more clerks and take more time, the NEC said it will help prevent suspicions of fraudulent vote counting that have been repeatedly raised in the past and eventually found to be untrue. Moreover, CCTV will record in real time the storage rooms of ballot boxes and share the footage on large screen monitors at regional NEC offices. Barcodes will replace QR codes on early ballots. In addition, as recommended by the National Intelligence Service, the NEC will prevent wireless hacking attempts on ballot counting machines by employing control programs using USBs only. Lee Si-hoo, Arirang News.
South Korea has signed a contract with the U.S. to purchase 20 additional F-35A stealth fighter jets, with plans to deploy them starting from 2027. The Defense Acquisition Program Administration on Wednesday announced the additional procurement of the F-35A. They can covertly penetrate into enemy territory for precision strikes. Currently, South Korea operates 39 of them. Seoul believes the latest additions will feature improved capabilities in terms of threat response, security functions, and weapons operation, helping strengthen its deterrence against North Korean threats. Now turning to the English Premier League, South Korean striker Hwang Hee-chan scored twice in Wolverhampton Wanderers' 4-1 win over Brentford on Wednesday. Hwang pounced on a loose ball to score his first in the 14th minute before adding from close range in the 28th minute. The 27-year-old, who recently signed a contract extension, now has 10 league goals, getting into double-digit goals in the English Premier League for the first time. Hwang helped his team to its first back-to-back win of the season, despite being replaced late in the first half with a minor injury. Now, in the medical field, there has long been concern regarding syringe needles being reused or causing injuries. But now a newly developed needle could help ease those concerns as it changes from being solid to soft upon insertion. Jin reports.
This is the latest IV needle with variable stiffness demonstrated on a piece of meat. It goes in like a normal needle but comes out in a soft state. Also tested in an IV drip simulation, the needle softens in water similar to that of body temperature, 37 degrees Celsius. The fluid flows continuously through the needle and showed no signs of leakage. This transformative needle, created by a South Korean research team, is made up of a liquid metal called gallium. In its solid state, gallium has sufficient hardness that enables the puncturing of soft biological tissues. But upon insertion, gallium melts when exposed to body temperature, changing the needle into a soft state like the surrounding tissues.
So what happens in supercooling is that gallium becomes microdroplets and it's hard to be frozen again. About -5 degrees Celsius, that's where the used needle will be solidified again.
Compared to needles made of stainless steel or plastic, the gallium needle is shown to cause less tissue and blood vessel damage in injection sites, as well as less serious inflammation.
This can prevent unethical reuse of syringe needles or needle stick injury accidents for medical staff.
The researchers added that such a form-changing IV needle can open new opportunities for a wide range of applications, particularly in clinical setups. Specifically, it would be in terms of redesigning other medical needles and sharp medical tools to reduce accidental injuries. 이은진, Arirang News.
The South Korean film December 12th, The Day has become this year's top-grossing Korean film in North America. According to film's distributor Plus M Entertainment on Wednesday, the movie, based on South Korea's military coup in 1979, surpassed the $1 million mark in North American ticket sales, becoming the highest-earning Korean movie in the region this year. This comes just around a year after last year's film The Roundup reached the $1 million milestone in North America. December 12th, The Day, starring Hwang Jung-min and Chung Woo-sung, is also the most watched movie in Korea this year, hitting the 10 million milestone in ticket admissions as of Sunday.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. In the US, the tech giant Apple has been given the go-ahead to temporarily resume the import and sales of its latest smartwatches. The US Court of Appeals on Wednesday granted Apple's request, which was filed a day earlier when the import ban came into effect. The court has given the US International Trade Commission until January 10th to respond to Apple's request of longer-term pause during the appeals process. The ITC ordered the ban on imports and sales of Apple Watches in October, following a complaint by California-based medical technology company Masimo, accusing Apple of poaching its employees and stealing its blood oxygen level measuring technology, which has been featured in Apple smartwatches since its Series 6 model in 2020. Apple preemptively stopped selling its Series 9 and Ultra 2 watches last week, but will now resume sales. In the US, the New York Times sued OpenAI and Microsoft for copyright infringement on Wednesday, claiming the tech companies are responsible for billions of dollars in damages. The New York Times claims that millions of their published works were used without permission by the ChatGPT creator, as large language models use data sourced online to train artificial intelligence systems. It's said that OpenAI occasionally produces verbatim responses taken directly from articles that are otherwise inaccessible without paying a subscription. The New York Times is the first major American media company to sue the popular AI platform in a lawsuit that could determine the path of intellectual property rights and the advancement of public data-based artificial intelligence. In Japan, the country's Nuclear Regulation Authority on Wednesday lifted an operational ban imposed over 2 years ago on Tokyo Electric Power Company's Kashiwazaki Kariwa nuclear power plant. TEPCO has been working to bring the power plant back online to tackle operational costs, but will still require permission from local governments in Niigata Prefecture and surrounding areas to do so. Authorities banned the operation of the nuclear plant in 2021 due to safety and security breaches. With a capacity of over 8,200 megawatts, the world's largest atomic power plant by capacity has been mostly offline since 2012 due to measures that followed the Fukushima nuclear accident in 2011. In Paris, France, the famous Eiffel Tower was closed on Wednesday as staff went on strike. The shutdown came on the day the Eiffel Tower marked 100 years since the death of its creator, Gustave Eiffel. While tourists can still access the viewpoint beneath the tower, The 324-meter monument itself is closed until further notice. The strike was announced by the Eiffel Tower CGT union ahead of their contract negotiations with the city of Paris. Kim Ji-young, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. It's a very dusty day for the central regions and Jeollabuk-do province. The season's first emergency fine dust reduction measures are deployed in the capital region. That is Seoul, Incheon, and Gyeonggi-do province through 9 p.m. tonight, with an ultra-fine dust advisory issued in Gyeonggi-do, Incheon, and Chungcheong, Namdo province today. The rest of the country will also see dust levels going up as the day goes on, but not as bad as the West. Nothing much to complain about in terms of the temperatures. They will be slightly lower than yesterday, but it will still feel warmer than what it should be around this time of the year. Seoul tops out at 5 degrees, Daejeon at 7 degrees this afternoon, but avoid unnecessary outdoor activities and wash hands thoroughly and frequently, which should be a regular routine for the next couple of days, with dust levels staying higher along with these warmer temperatures. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
Those of you planning to go ice skating in Seoul Plaza today, you will have to turn back again. The iconic ice rink was closed last night and will stay closed today, with the country imposing emergency measures to reduce fine dust levels here in the capital area for the first time this season. Just when the cold wave started to ease, along came these high levels of fine dust, with factories and construction sites also reducing operations. The fine dust will linger into the last few days of the year over the weekend, so do take that into consideration as you make any plans. That is all for today. Thanks for watching.